8th standard, intelligent, hardworking. Every now and then students share their queries, their questions. I hope you have completed your first chapter of your geography, and worksheets also you have completed, and complete your history and also political science from your chapter. Okay, questions. Okay, now we come to the second chapter of our geography. Okay, and the second chapter is about the resources. Of course, now we are going to take up resources one at a time in all these chapters. Here in this, some of the natural resources have been discussed. Okay, now the name of the chapter is Land, Soil, Water, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife Resources. And today we are going to do half of the lesson, that is land. We'll complete, then soil. Okay, land and soil, that is itself, and with the help of pictures I will try to simplify it. Okay, land, like if you I think India is the best example of how varied the land can be, isn't it? In Rajasthan, if you go to interior towards Jodhpur, you will find desert, and there are mountains, there are hills, there are Aravalli hills, there are which are quite different from the Himalayas, high Himalayas covered with snow, and here rocky, isn't it? And then coastal areas, it's very green because there is moisture in the air. Okay, so varied land. Now we'll look at some of the pictures that I have brought for you, and of course they are related with your lesson. Okay, pictures, some of the pictures to understand how varied the land is, and because of the variation in land, the lifestyle or the people, their livelihood, their lifestyle, everything is different. Okay, and we are going to start with the help of pictures. I'm sure it will become easy and also easier for you to understand, isn't it? You can visualize and you can think over it. Now, first picture I have brought for this, I have brought three types of pictures. One is from Africa, Tanzania. It's given in your lesson also, but I have brought, there is one picture I think of Tanzania in your book. Okay, though there is no picture in your book, but they have mentioned. But I have brought for you picture of a village of Tanzania in Africa, then New Zealand, where there is grassland, and Tanzania is a land which is very rocky and it's extremely hot. Its life is very, because of that life is very difficult. Yes, and you see here a picture of Tanzania village, and a woman is carrying wood. See how difficult the life is, because the land is rocky and it's very difficult to grow anything over there. Now there's a girl, her name is Mamba. She stays in this village of Tanzania in Africa, and she has to get up very early in the morning because she has to fetch water, which is very far away, at distance away from her home, from her village, and she has to bring, her father has to toil whole day, and he's able to grow only some maize and some beans for the family. Okay, so land around their village or their house is all rocky with small huts. Okay, so it is very difficult for them throughout the year. Its life is very difficult for them. So this is life in Tanzania in Africa. Now we come to another picture. Next picture. This picture is where Peter lives. That is New Zealand. Okay, and he lives in this region where sheep are reared. Sheep rearing is done because it is a grassland. And Peter has a wool processing factory. You can see here in the next picture, wool processing wool processing factory, and he sees his uncle every day. Just now you saw his uncle's photo, taking care of sheep. Their sheep yard is situated on a wide grassy plain with hills, and it is managed in a very scientific way using latest technology. And besides this, the family also grows some vegetables through organic farming. So see, if we compare and contrast the life, how different the two lives are of Mamba and Peter. Mamba leads a very difficult life because of the physical features of the land over there and the climatic conditions, whereas Peter, a favorable conditions, grassland, and because of grassland they rear sheep and they have wool processing factory, and he leads a better life, comfortable life. Now let us look at another picture. This picture is of, it is in your book also, Salzburg in Austria. Now this picture is totally different. You see a river passing through the city which is joining the sea, and it is plains, there's greenery because the river is there, so land is also fertile. So people, you find that such places where there are rivers or where there is river and the land is fertile and plain, the population is dense in such places. Now let us look at India. If we look at India, then we find in UP, most populated UP, Bihar, Punjab, because the land is fertile here. And you have the rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and that is why these cities have become overcrowded. Okay, so the land matters a lot. The land which is on steep slopes or rugged topography or low-lying areas are not very populated, or they have desert areas and a thick forest are sparsely populated, whereas places which are plains, which have rivers, are densely populated areas. I hope this is clear to you, children. Okay, the places which are thickly populated and which are thinly populated or sparsely populated. Or thickly populated, we also, another word is densely populated, densely, okay, more people live there. Now we come to the next, that is land use. Okay, you see here animals are grazing. Okay, so land is used for different ways. Okay, land is used in different ways. It's very important in a life. Land, without land we would not be here on the, where would we live? So land is important. We do agriculture, we build roads, there is forestry, mining, houses are made, roads are made, industries are set up, and etc. is done on land. So this is known as land use. Okay, if you get a question, what is land use? Land use means land is used for various purposes, for building roads, for building houses, for industries, for forestry, mining, etc. Okay, now this use of land is determined by physical factors. You saw Peter's land and Mamba's land, and then Austria, the three different ways the people lived. So land, physical features or physical factors does matter. So we can say the land is determined by the physical factors such as topography. Topography means whether it is on the mountain or it is on the slope or it is in the plains. Soil, then second is soil. What type of soil is it sandy or is it fertile, alluvial, black soil, and so on. Then climate, whether it is a desert type of climate or it is in coastal region it is a humid type of climate, or is it dry climate. So climate. Next is minerals, what minerals are found. Then availability of water. Water is very important. Okay, so land use is determined by what factors? Number one, topography. Second, soil. Third, climate. Fourth, minerals. And availability of water, whether water is available or not. So children, these things are very important. Don't forget, apart from this, there might be other factors also. Okay, other than these, human factor and this technology also is, children, very, very important. Now let us look at the example of Rawatbhata. Rawatbhata is a rocky, mostly hilly and rocky area, and 50 years ago it was thinly populated, sparsely populated, hardly people lived here. But technology, because of technology, dams came up. It began to be constructed in 1950s, 53, and then from 1972 dam was ready and the water was available. And as soon as the water was available, there were canals, there were hydroelectricity, soon it began to be produced. So people began to come here and they began to live here, they began to flock here. And gradually the population increased and the nuclear power stations came up. So all this helped the land use or land in use. Okay, so human factor and technology also plays an important role. Clear? Now we come to next. Now land is we can classify land in two. One is private land and the other is community land. Now children, you see on your screen land. This is community land. Of course there are houses. You can see far away houses. These are private. Okay, private land means which belong to individuals. Okay, but community land is owned by community for different purposes. Like for fodder, here you can see the cattle is grazing, so it is for community common use. Okay, I hope it's clear. At the end you can ask questions if you want. Okay, but at present we are I hope it is clear up till here. So community means it is for community. The land is used for community or the common people, like for fodder, for fruits, nuts or medicinal herbs. Like you must have seen these villagers and all, or the people, the tribal, they go to the forest to collect twigs or and some berries and all, or some vegetables also grow, wild vegetables which they use. So these are known, this community lands are also known as common property resources. What are they known as? Common property resources. Okay, you may be asked, what is common property resources? So this is the land that is common or people use, it belongs to community or common uses. It is, okay, this land is for, like, for then you can give example for fodder, fruit, nuts, etc. Okay, now as we already know that land, people, the population is growing, so demands is also growing. Yes, and the quality of land, we know that it differs from place to place. We just saw pictures. I gave you some examples also from our India, that land differs from place to place. And people have started encroachment. Encroachment, now this word should be clear to you, encroachment, because I find that even when you have come across in the social studies, and then still in 9th and 10th people don't know, children don't know what encroachment is. Encroachment means illegally occupying some area or some place, like outside our colony you will find people have occupied, or these vendors and shops are all encroachment. Illegally they were occupied. Now children, and after some years, okay, they may become legal. Now this encroachment also shows the change in the culture. Now I told you that 50 years ago there was nothing here. Yes, and but because of the dams and nuclear power station, slowly the population began to grow. And when the population began to grow, there was need for commercial commodities, what's a commercial activity. Okay, people wanted to sell and buy things. So that is why this encroaching began. But land degradation also happens. There are some threats on the land. Now let us look at what are the threats to the environment, we can say environment, or to the land. Number one is land degradation. Okay, overuse of the land, the soil is being dug out at places you'll find, if you go to cities, you'll find that away from city they have dug up the sand, or they are, so it had become illegal, okay, doing so now. And then landslides, okay, then soil erosion, water, soil being eroded because of maybe climate or storm or rainfall or human activity. Then desertification, okay, it's becoming dry, are the major threats to the environment. Okay, now let us look at what the landslides are. I have brought this picture for you to show landslide. Landslides are the mass movement of rock, okay, rock, debris or earth down a slope. I hope this is clear to you. Landslide, you can see here in the picture also, landslides are the movement of the rock or debris, okay, or earth down a slope. They often take place due to maybe earthquakes, floods, volcanoes, okay, and maybe rainfall, continuous rainfall, heavy rainfall may cause landslide and then block the flow of river for quite some time. Okay, so these create havoc, not only the places where the landslide has taken place, but also all nearby areas. There's natural it spreads natural disasters striking life and property, and it's a major concern. Now let us look at one of these massive landslide. This landslide, I've brought this picture for you, is of Pangi village, that is near Rekong PO in Kannauj district of Himachal Pradesh. This picture I think is in your book also. Himachal Pradesh, and it damaged a 200-meter stretch of old Hindustan-Tibet road and killed people and damaged houses, orchards. National Highway 22, the landslide was triggered due to blasting at Pangi village in Himachal Pradesh. Okay, and slope collapsed, causing intense damage everywhere around that area. So, and Pangi village had to be completely vacated because to avoid possible loss of life. I hope this is clear to you. Now, these landslides have to be mitigated, okay, minimized. How to do it? Okay, now the steps that are to be taken or that are taken to mitigate these landslides. The first is hazard mapping. First is hazard mapping. Okay, don't forget, you may be asked how to mitigate or how to minimize these landslides. The first is hazard mapping to locate areas which are prone to landslide, so that settlement can be avoided. Okay, people may be asked not to make houses there, not to settle over there. Okay, this is the first one. The second is construction of, see, I have brought for you this wall, retention wall. This is called retention wall. You must have seen retention wall in our area also. If you happen to go to this Vikram Nagar, you may find these types of walls. This is called retention wall. So construction of retention wall stops land from slipping away. So this retention wall is very common here also, I think in colony also you must have seen. Then increase in vegetation cover. Next is vegetation covering, like government tries to plant more trees in the forest areas, although the people illegally they uproot the trees, but still they try to, it is illegal, they are caught, then they are punished. So covering vegetation cover, covering the slopes with vegetation cover to arrest or to stop landslides. Next is the drainage system. Okay, proper drainage, more canals are built so that the water that is collected due to landslides may pass, or there is control over the movement of landslide along the rainwater and spring flows. Okay, now these points again I'll revise in the next, when we meet next. Okay, now we come to next picture. Now here you see 4 pictures, children. The first picture, let's say 50 years ago, there were more houses, there were more trees. You can see in the first picture, and the people lived with modesty, and they led a simple life. The second picture, then they started building these pakka houses, okay, and some trees were also cut down, okay. Then third picture, more development and more cutting of trees and land, that agricultural land being used for construction of industries and these flats and houses. And then the fourth picture, which is latest, okay, of cities. All the forest has disappeared in the cities and nearby city, and the agricultural land, these industries and roads and buildings have come up. Okay, so this is a growing population. In other words, we can say the growing population has caused growth in demand for land. Okay, and this has led to the destruction of forest and arable land. Arable land means land which could be used for agriculture, which is fertile. But now that fertile land has been destroyed, and instead of that, the flats have been built. It is illegal. Okay, but the government is trying to stop. It has been made illegal. Okay, so now what are the steps to conserve this land? Okay, so that no more degradation or takes place of land. How can it be checked? There are some steps. The first one is afforestation. Okay, planting more trees. Okay, growing more trees and stopping the cutting of trees. Afforestation. Then next is land reclamation. Land reclamation means, we discussed just now, I discussed that soils have been dug, sand has been dug, mining has taken place, and because of that, degradation of land has taken place. So from river beds, from sea beds, the soil has to be, is brought and put in the places where there is degradation. So it is reclaimed, okay, renewed. Then regulated use of chemical pesticide and fertilizer. Regulated use, not to the extreme use of fertilizers, and it is very harmful for the soil, for the land. Okay, it becomes barren. After some time, the land may become barren. Nothing can be grown there. So it has to be regulated. The use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers. And next, checks on overgrazing, okay, are some of the common methods used to conserve land resources. I hope this is clear to you, conservation of land resource. Okay, now we look at the next picture. We come to soil. Okay, you might have studied this under science as well, soil. Now what is soil? Soil is the thin layer of land. You can say the surface of the earth. Soil is the thin layer which is grainy, okay, substance covering the surface of the earth. What is soil? Soil is the thin layer of grainy substance covering the surface of the earth. It is very much part of the land. And we have already discussed that the soil also depends upon the land form. Like for example, if the parent or if the land has limestone, so the soil would be in structure, in texture, it would be having lime in it. Or if it is sandy, okay, so it depends. Okay, so soil is made up of land forms determine the type of soil. Soil, what is it made up of? You can see here in the picture, the top most, that is humus, isn't it? Soil is made up of organic matter, humus, organic matter, minerals, okay, weathered rocks found in the earth. Now what is weathering? Weathering means the breaking up and decaying of exposed rocks. You may be asked, what is weathering? You in glossary you find whatever words are there in glossary, children, you are going to write in your notebook and make diagram like this diagram. Of course not exactly this diagram, a comic form diagram has been given of soil. Draw that in your copy, please. Okay, I'll keep on telling you what all you have to do in your notebooks. In your notebooks you will write glossary, from this chapter, whatever glossary means notes are there, you first write that and then make this diagram of soil. Okay, the levels of soil, or you can say soil profile. So soil is made up of organic matter, minerals, weathered rocks found on the earth. Okay, the weathering I was discussing, weathering is the breaking up and decay of the exposed rocks, maybe due to temperature, okay, very hot or very cold, or frost action, plants, animals and human activity. Now this formation of soil doesn't form in just month or years. It takes hundreds of years to make just 1 centimeter of soil. It takes hundreds of years to 1 centimeter of soil. Okay, the right mix of minerals and organic matter makes the soil fertile. Now let us look at this picture. I hope this is clear to you. The top, whatever I have discussed here, with the help of diagram you can clarify this more. Okay, now today whatever we are doing today, we'll again revise next time when we meet, we'll revise that. Okay, now factors of soil formation. You can see here the factors we have already discussed. The parent rock. Okay, here also you can see the parent rock. The bottommost is the parent rock. Parent rock, it determines the color, texture, chemical properties, okay, of the soil. Okay, they'll be same whatever rock is underneath. So soil on the surface will be based on that, the color, like I was giving you example of the limestone. So the color, the texture, chemical properties will be same. Next we discussed was climate. Okay, temperature, rainfall, rate of weathering and humus formation. Okay, next is relief. Relief means topography, it can also fall. That altitude, what height, whether it is hills or cliffs or slope, it determines the accumulation of soil. Then next is flora, fauna and microorganism, that rate of humus formation. Okay, humus formation, where in forest and all, and the leaves fall and there are animals also, they die and they form the humus. So whereas in desert type we don't find so much of humus. Okay, the soil is not fertile. Next is time. Time determines the thickness of soil profile. Like I told you, just now discussed that for 1 centimeter of soil it takes hundreds of years to form. Okay, I hope this is clear. This diagram also you have to make in your notebook. So I have given you 2 diagrams. One is of soil profile. I think it is given on page 11. You will make both the diagrams. One is of soil profile and the next one is factors affecting soil formation. I hope this is clear to you. Soil formation. Okay. So, and glossary. Third is glossary. You will write all the notes that is given in the glossary. Okay, now we come to the next. That is degradation of soil and conservation measures. Now we have already discussed about degradation of soil, isn't it? Soil erosion and depletion are the major threats to soil. Just like land degradation, soil degradation also. So this happens. Soil erosion, you have done in science also. Soil erosion and depletion are the major threats to soil as a resource. Both human and natural factors can lead to degradation of soil. You know, people, they dump the chemicals or the overuse of the chemical fertilizers or overgrazing lead to degradation or cutting down of trees, or in other words we can say deforestation, overgrazing, overuse of chemical fertilizers and pesticides, rain wash, landslides, floods, etc. are lead to soil degradation. Okay, now what are the methods? We'll discuss about the methods to conserve soil. You must have done this in your science also. If you have not done, doesn't matter, we are doing in geography. So here is the picture. This is called mulching. This method is called mulching. In the picture you can see the bare, in this what happens, mulching, the bare ground between plants is covered with a layer of organic matter like straw. You can see here It helps to retain soil moisture. Okay, this is mulching. Is it clear to you that the land which is bare, where there is nothing to grow, that land is covered with straw or dried grass to retain moisture in the soil. Okay, this is called mulching. Next, now this is counter barriers. Next is counter barriers, C-O-N-T-O-U-R, counter barriers. Counter barriers means on hills and on these hills and mountains side, stones, grass, soil are used to build barriers along counters, okay, along the hills, okay, along the counters you can say. And below these barriers there are trenches. Water collects, and so this prevents soil to be washed away with water. It will remain here. Now next picture, this is called rock dam. These I think you piled up to slow down the flow of water. This prevents gullies and further soil loss. So now when you come across rocks piled, so remember they have been done to prevent gullies. Gullies are made during rain, when there is heavy rain, so these canals and on their own gullies are made, and there is loss of soil, it washes away. So these, when they are piled, these are called rock dam. This is rock dam, so they prevent the soil loss. Okay, now we come to the next, that this is terrace farming. Next is terrace farming. So we discussed mulching, counter barriers, next rock dam, and now terrace farming. Terrace farming, it is broad flat steps or terraces are made on the steep slopes so that flat surfaces are available to grow crops. You can see here in the picture, and the slopes, on slopes, terrace or these steps are made and crop is grown on it. This reduces running off or soil erosion. This also prevents soil erosion. Okay, next is intercropping. Intercropping means different crops. You can see here different crops are grown in alternate rows. Alternate rows, different crops are grown and are sown at different times to protect the soil from rain wash. This is known as intercropping. Okay, next again we come to counter plowing. There is a counter barrier. Counter barrier tha ki along the counters the barriers were made with the help of grass or stone soil, but this is counter plowing. Counter plowing means plowing parallel to the counters of a hill slope, plowing, okay, or growing crop along the counters of the or parallel of the hill slope to form a natural barrier for water to flow down the slope. I hope this is clear. Okay, next is shelter. These are called shelter belts. What are these called? Shelter belts. Shelter belts. Okay, shelter belts are found in coastal. If you happen to go to coastal areas or dry areas, okay, you will find these rows, we can say rows of trees are planted. So these check the wind movement to protect soil cover. So children, we have covered this. I hope up till here is clear to you. Okay, somebody has, what is the meaning of reclamation? Reclamation means it's sort of renewing, okay, the land. Reclamation, renewing or that has been degraded. Okay children, then do we need to make notes? Yes, you can make notes. They are not very difficult. You can, once again, I have only done half of it, half of the lesson, so you can do this again now. Okay, make notes. Now what are the notes that you will make? I'll just discuss with you. Now somebody has asked the meaning of reclamation, so I'll just give you the meaning. Reclamation is the process, in geographical words if we describe, or in science words, how will we describe reclamation? Reclamation is a process of changing land that is unsuitable for farming or building into land that can be used. Okay, clear to you? Centuries of sea wall construction and the reclamation of dry land from the marshes. It is needed for, okay, so this is reclamation. I hope this is clear. Again I am repeating, is the process of changing land due to mining, maybe mining or overuse of chemical fertilizers. The land might have become unfertile or cannot be used for farming. So changing that land for land use. Okay, like I give you one example, that bringing soil from the bed of the rivers, so that soil is very fertile. Okay, so this is this is one of the steps how the land can be again made fertile or reclaimed or renewed. Okay, or reclaimed. I hope this is clear to you. Okay, now we come back once again. Yes, children, I hope this is with the help of pictures. It became interesting, and the lesson also was clear to you. Now, if you read, now I have not covered the whole lesson so that it become boring for you and it would become difficult. Okay, now once again we'll just revise the main points that we discussed with the help of the pictures. Now first, with the help of pictures, the first three pictures, we saw that land which is favorable, okay, which is fertile, which is in plains, which has rivers, water is available, that attracts people and is densely populated, whereas the places or the land which has thick forest or which is desert type or here also. Okay, then we classified land. I will not go in detail, private and community, okay, which is also known as common property resources. Then we discuss encroaching. I said don't forget encroaching. Again, I think in English lesson also you will come across encroaching, and you may get some, I sometimes gave my children this word encroaching for writing. And they would look at me in wonder, ma'am, what is encroaching? What is encroaching? So don't forget, encroaching means illegally occupying or land. Okay, so that is encroaching. But I give you example that with the advancement or with the culture, okay, culture also changes, and because of that, encroaching is sometimes for commercial needs. Encroaching takes place. Again, I will not go in detail because we have already discussed. Then we discussed about land degradation, landslides, soil erosion and desertification, and that are the threats for the environment. And then we discussed landslides, what they are, and then one of the landslides in Himachal Pradesh and how it damaged the property, the people, the highway. And then factors, how they can be avoided, what are the steps to be taken. We discussed hazard mapping to locate places which are prone to landslides so that settlement does not take place there. Then retention wall, I showed you the picture also, and then I gave you example of Vikramnagar. Then increasing vegetation cover, then surface drainage, more surface drainage should be there. Here, I think if you happen to go to Parajhar and all on the during rainy days, okay, you'll find those the drainage, surface drainage. So then when there is heavy rainfall, flooding doesn't take place, the soil erosion does not take place. Okay. Then conservation of soil, how it can be conserved, we discussed. Okay. Then steps like afforestation, then land reclamation. Somebody asked about reclamation. I hope reclamation is clear. Okay. Regulating use of chemical, pesticide and fertilizer, check on overgrazing are some of the common methods. Okay, how land can be conserved. Then next we came on soil, what soil is, then the different layers of the soil, and I have asked you to make that diagram also. And then factors of soil formation, that diagram also you have to make. Then degradation of soil and conservation methods we discussed. I showed you with the help of the pictures. I hope it is clear to you. Okay, so complete all this. Okay, clear? Okay, so we'll meet maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, because tomorrow we will not meet. So because I want to give you time to make these two diagrams and write all those notes that is in glossary. Complete all that and see if you can complete the questions up till soil, whatever questions are up till soil. Let me see questions on last 20 page. Which are the two climate factors responsible for soil formation? This you can do. Be ready with this. I'll ask you answers, right? Any two reasons for land degradation, any two reasons they have asked. So you can do this also. Why is land considered an important resource? Okay, you can write the uses, why it is important, and name two steps that government has taken to conserve plants and animals. So you do this. So how many questions? 4 questions. At least 4 questions you do. Okay, 4 questions. Okay. You anything else you want to ask? I think I think we're not asking because it has become very clear to you. Is it? Say yes or no at least. Has it become, you love this pictures, and did the pictures help you in understanding? Yes or no? Yes. On the screen, yes or no? Have you? Okay. So should we say bye now? Okay. Do questions, 4 questions, glossary and 2 diagrams. Okay. Okay, children. So how did you like this? Easy? Nice? Simple? Okay. Bye for now. So day after tomorrow we'll meet.